it's beyond just the pretty colors and everything right there. It's like almost like a subculture and a lifestyle.
Art is a hobby turned to hustle for me.
I started doing graffiti when I was 13 years old back in 1993. I was doing straight up illegal graffiti. I was writing on people's garages, buses, trains, all that, right?
I've been doing art since as far back as I can remember. I mean, I remember being 5, 6 years old and you know, drawing things on the way to school, drawing things in school workbooks and stuff like that.
Growing up in community in Chicago, it's just something people do, painting, and just like back in the 90s, it's just like sports or anything. Like it was just an activity that young people did. It was popular, just to write their name, or even just drawing and cartoons and comic books and stuff like that. So we're always doodling and messing with markers and Sharpies and stuff. So it's kind of just like a practice.
80s, 90s. In the New York and the music, a lot of in the music era. You know, I grew up in Hyde Park. That was a big part of the hip hop. It was breakdancing, MCing, and part of it was graffiti, and that was a big thing.
Growing up on the south side of Chicago, growing up in the era of the rise of rap music and hip hop in the early 80s, seeing graffiti around me and be able to tell the difference between like gang banging graffiti and actual creative like art, hip hop graffiti. It's art with a spray can, right? Like me painting a portrait with a spray can, that's not necessarily graffiti. Graffiti being your name on the wall done illegally. You see what I'm saying? It's more aerosol art.
I don't think graffiti should be a crime, but there's a line between graffiti and tagging. I think there's two different things. Graffiti is artwork, and tagging could be all kinds of different meanings.
Back in the late 90s, if you were a kid trying to do graffiti, like if you went out and painted something, your stuff could get cleaned off the next day, and it was very discouraging. And so being a writer or being an artist in Chicago using spray paint was very challenging.
If a police walks up on you, you vandalize someone's wall, they will take you to jail. You will have a case. In Chicago, graffiti is a felony. They will take you to the Cook County Jail for graffiti. I got a flag on my record because of that. To this day, I got it when I was 17. All right, so like there's a legal aspect to graffiti too. I turned 17. 17, you get tried as an adult. I got arrested right when I turned 17 for doing graffiti, right? They turned that thing into a felony. I didn't go to the county for it though. It's just still on my record. I'm still in the process of getting that expunged from 20 years ago. It's an odd situation. They gave me 2 years court supervision and like 100 hours community service. You know, so that's pretty much what and I spent a night in jail though. I just spent a night in jail. Like all that was a reality check, right?
Nowadays, people paint walls and there's free walls, and sometimes they don't last that long, you know, so people keep painting. You gotta keep painting and keep creating and always have new stuff and always be down to spray some paint.
Or the value of your project is worth more if it's in the right environment. So like if you have your project in a place where people wanna see that, then the community will embrace it. If people don't want to, if they're not feeling it, they can't connect to it right there, it's not gonna last that long, right? And I try to pay attention to like, you know, the nature of the environment. So for instance, I just finished a project in Lafayette, Indiana. They wanted to show Lafayette, Indiana being diverse, right? So I made sure I painted a diverse crowd of people, both black, white, Latin, Asian, you know, etc., right? In a black neighborhood, black folks want to see black people being empowered, right? Black people, or some historic stuff right there. In Latino neighborhoods, they may want Our Lady Guadalupe, Zapata. They want to see their own people empowered.
Usually, when you're doing community projects with youth, you work with the aldermen, or you find opportunities to beautify, whether if it's through the city or through grants or through if there's viaducts that need to be cleaned up. Those are always prime places to do youth murals or community murals. And then also, like, just with beautification, there's so many abandoned spaces and places that could use like paint or like beautification. And then also to like spread messages or do like in places that don't have any murals or like that could use some some development as far as artwork and having something beautiful to look at when you pass through, when you're riding the bus or walking by or something like that.
I appreciate it. It's better than looking at dead grass and all kind of other weird Chicago things that happen in empty lots.
Also, sometimes illegal graffiti happens with me because there are some abandoned areas you can just do graffiti at that like no one's going to take you to jail for painting, right? A lot of people be shooting rap videos in these spots too, but you all know some of these areas, but some of those areas would be cool to paint at because at least you could have fun painting there, you know what I'm saying? But that's as far as that and maybe some freight trains every now and then.
Graffiti and art and spray painting can be very therapeutic, in a way. Even just sketching or drawing, like you can relieve stress, you could just pour your heart out into creating something.
Artwork should come from a real place, and all my art comes from real places. It's not something made up. Everything you look at was an outlet to what I was going through at the time. And I think that's a perfect thing that a community could use.
Now, the thing about it too is some of this stuff comes from our mind, We're influenced by stuff that we see every day and media, cartoons, like movies and stuff like that. And then we also have this creative mind where we can create characters or produce something or have a vision of something and then put it on paper, then put it on the wall and plan it out. Like that whole process is amazing, and it all comes from just being alive and having something come out of you and making it come to life,